It was supposed to be an ordinary day, one that would slip by unnoticed. But for Dylan Gilligan, a seemingly minor stumble on a cracked pavement in Clondalkin became the spark for a legal battle that would not only reveal uncomfortable truths but also cast a shadow over his family's notorious name. Dylan, just 24 at the time, had walked out of his house on the afternoon of August 15, 2017, crossing the street to meet his friend Leon Doherty. They had no idea that this seemingly trivial moment would lead them down a path filled with courtroom drama, accusations, and financial turmoil. The fall. It was a fall that Dylan would remember forever. As he stepped onto the footpath of Old Tower Crescent, his foot hit an unseen hole, sending him crashing to the ground. Instantly, he felt a sharp pain in his thumb, a sharp snap that told him something was wrong. The sharp pain quickly spread, creeping up his arm and settling into his back, where it seemed to linger and worsen with every passing hour. Dylan's initial instinct was to rush to the hospital, where X-rays revealed a sprained thumb and soft tissue damage. It wasn't the catastrophic injury he feared, but it was painful nonetheless. For someone who had suffered more than his fair share of injuries in his short life, this latest mishap was just another chapter in a story that seemed to have no end. But what happened next was something Dylan could never have anticipated. The legal battle begins. Dylan, the son of Lorraine Gilligan and nephew of the infamous crime figure John Gilligan, filed a personal injury claim against South Dublin County Council, seeking €60,000 in damages for his injuries. He painted a picture of a man who had been unfairly injured due to a neglected hazard in the footpath. He claimed that the fall had caused him significant pain, that it had changed his daily life, and that he deserved compensation for his suffering. However, as with all things in life, the truth was more complicated than it appeared. The skeletons in the closet. When Dylan stepped into the courtroom, the case quickly took an unexpected turn. Lawyers for the defense, led by Connor Kearney BL, immediately cast doubt on the nature of his injury. They questioned the specifics of his fall, suggesting that it was very peculiar and didn't align with the injury he described. But it wasn't just the fall that raised suspicion. As the case unfolded, it was revealed that Dylan had failed to disclose some important information. Information that, had it been shared, might have changed the course of the case entirely. The defense brought up his medical history, which Dylan had either forgotten or deliberately left out. 6 months before the fall, Dylan had been rushed to the hospital after a glass shard punctured his hand when he fell through a pane of glass. His hand required treatment, and just a few weeks later, he found himself back in the emergency room to remove another shard. But this wasn't the first time Dylan had suffered such injuries. In 2016, Dylan had cut his hand on broken glass, a detail he neglected to mention to the doctors who examined him or to the defense team when they saw details of his prior accidents. And there were more, countless smaller accidents and injuries that never made it to the official record. The defense was quick to point out these oversights, casting doubt on Dylan's credibility. How could he claim that this fall on the footpath had been such a life-altering event when his medical history seemed to tell a different story? How could he not mention these incidents, especially when they could have played a role in his current condition? The verdict. Judge John O'Donohoe, who presided over the case, made it clear that while Dylan's injuries were genuine, the manner in which he handled the case had undermined his credibility. The judge stated that Dylan had not been forthcoming about his past injuries, which cast a shadow over his current claims. Although he did not come across as someone who lacked credibility, he had certainly not helped himself by not disclosing relevant previous accidents, said the judge. In the end, Dylan was awarded €5,000 in damages. However, the judge noted that there was a significant element of contributory negligence on Dylan's part. He had failed to notice the hole in the footpath during daylight hours, an oversight that contributed to his fall. As a result, the award was reduced by 20%, leaving Dylan with a mere €4,000 in damages. But that wasn't the worst part. The judge also stated that Dylan would only receive district court costs, which meant he would still have to cover his circuit court legal fees. With his legal team's costs looming over him, Dylan would likely walk away from the case with little to nothing. The fallout. Dylan's life, already filled with misfortune, was about to take yet another hit. The award, though a small consolation, would barely cover the mounting bills. The court case, which had promised to be a ticket to financial stability, had instead left him with a heavy burden. And it wasn't just the financial fallout, his family's name, long associated with controversy and criminal activity, now cast an even darker shadow over his personal misfortune. Dylan, a young man trying to make his way in the world, found himself caught in a web of lies, legal battles, and family legacy. Despite the odds stacked against him, he had hoped that this case would be the turning point, a chance to get back on his feet. But in the end, it was just another chapter in a life that seemed defined by bad luck and bad decisions. As for John Gilligan, Dylan's infamous uncle, his name loomed over the case like a dark cloud. The Gilligan legacy, tarnished by crime and notoriety, cast a long shadow over Dylan's every move. Would the public see Dylan as a victim, or would they view him through the lens of his family's troubled past? In the end, it didn't matter much. The payout, meager as it was, would only add to the weight of Dylan's struggle. A life of struggles. Dylan's story is one of frustration, misfortune, and a constant battle against the weight of his family's history. His fall on the pavement in Clondalkin may have seemed like a small incident at first, but it spiraled into something far larger. It became a reflection of a life that had been shaped by forces beyond his control, forces that shaped his choices, his reputation, and his fate. It wasn't just the fall on the pavement that hurt Dylan, it was the way his life had been defined by circumstances he couldn't escape. From the moment he stepped onto that cracked footpath, his journey took a sharp turn. And when the dust settled, he was left with little more than a lesson in transparency, a mountain of legal bills, and a €4,000 payout that hardly seemed worth the pain. As Dylan Gilligan walks away from the courtroom, one thing is clear: his journey is far from over. The road ahead is long, filled with more twists and turns, and a constant reminder that sometimes, the cost of silence can be more than anyone is willing to pay. Will Dylan ever be able to break free from the shadows of his family's past? Can he rebuild his life after the legal and financial devastation he's endured? The answers remain unclear. But one thing is certain: the story of Dylan Gilligan is one of struggle, redemption, and the consequences of choices made in the dark. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section.